The sound of gunfire in a residential street is no longer an abstract headline for many South Africans. It is a lived reality. What happened in Thokoza, east of Johannesburg, has shocked the entire country. Please, before we continue, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more news. What do you think should be the best penalty for criminals in South Africa? What started like an ordinary weekday was shattered by a brazen cash-in-transit robbery carried out in broad daylight. The attack was swift, militarized, and ruthless, and as the suspects disappeared into traffic, the lasting image of this crime was not the stolen money, but a 13-year-old girl struck by a stray bullet, an unintended victim of a crime that once again spilled into civilian life. This is not just a story about another cash-in-transit robbery. It is about what these crimes now represent, how they are evolving, and what their continued frequency says about public safety, organized crime, and the communities caught in between. At around 13:30 today, police say an armored cash-in-transit vehicle was traveling through Thokoza when it was deliberately rammed by a white Mercedes-Benz. What followed was a coordinated and highly organized operation. Armed suspects moved in, disarmed the security officers, and planted explosives on the armored vehicle. The cash van was bombed, tearing through its reinforced structure, while other suspects opened fire in the direction of the escort vehicle. Within minutes, the attackers had taken an undisclosed amount of cash. They fled the scene in 4 separate vehicles, dispersing into surrounding roads before police could intercept them. Amid the chaos, gunfire struck a 13-year-old girl hit by a stray bullet. She was rushed to hospital, where she is receiving treatment. Police have confirmed that a manhunt is underway. To understand the significance of what happened in Thokoza today, it is important to look beyond the sequence of events and examine the nature of the crime itself. Cash-in-transit robberies in South Africa are no longer opportunistic or impulsive acts. They are complex, intelligence-driven operations that require planning, surveillance, logistics, and firepower. The attackers know the routes, the timing, the response windows, and often the weaknesses in security protocols. The use of a high-end passenger vehicle to initiate the attack, followed by explosives to breach the armored van, points to a level of sophistication that has become disturbingly familiar. These robberies are not isolated acts by desperate criminals. They are hallmarks of organized syndicates with access to weapons, vehicles, and insider information. In Thokoza today, the suspects did not simply ambush a vehicle. They controlled the environment. By ramming the cash van, disarming guards, and firing at the escort vehicle, they neutralized resistance and delayed any immediate pursuit. The use of multiple getaway vehicles suggests pre-planned escape routes designed to overwhelm or evade law enforcement. And yet, for all the tactical precision, the consequences on the ground were chaotic and deeply human. Thokoza is a densely populated area. Like many townships and urban communities, its streets are not isolated transport corridors. They are living spaces. Children walk home from school. Residents run errands. Vendors work along the roadside. When gunfire erupts in such an environment, the risk to innocent lives is immediate and severe. She was not a target. She was not involved. The shooting of a 13-year-old girl underscores this reality. She was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, caught in the crossfire of a criminal operation that showed little regard for who might be harmed. This is where the story shifts from crime statistics to social consequence. Each cash-in-transit robbery carries with it the possibility of civilian casualties, and each incident further erodes the sense of safety in public spaces. Communities like Thokoza are left not only to process the trauma of what they witnessed, but to confront the question of whether such violence has become an accepted risk of daily life. From a law enforcement perspective, today's incident presents both familiar challenges and urgent pressure. Police have launched a manhunt, but the reality is that suspects fleeing in 4 vehicles have a significant head start. These crimes often cross policing boundaries within minutes, complicating pursuit and investigation. Authorities will now focus on several key areas: tracing the vehicles involved, analyzing any forensic evidence left at the scene, reviewing surveillance footage, and establishing whether there was prior intelligence or patterns linking this robbery to previous incidents. The undisclosed amount of cash taken also raises questions about the financial scale of the operation and the syndicate behind it. However, public concern does not rest solely on whether arrests will be made. It also centers on prevention and whether the current approach to securing cash-in-transit operations is sufficient in environments where civilians are inevitably exposed. The persistence of these robberies has sparked ongoing debate about the visibility of armored vehicles, route predictability, and the adequacy of police intelligence gathering. While security companies continue to adapt, the criminals appear to be adapting just as quickly, if not faster. For residents, the impact is immediate and personal. Witnessing an explosion, hearing sustained gunfire, and seeing a child injured leaves scars that extend far beyond the crime scene tape. Parents are forced to explain violence to children. Shop owners close early. Trust in public safety weakens. And for the young girl injured today, the consequences are lifelong. Regardless of her recovery, the incident becomes part of her story, a reminder that the violence surrounding these crimes does not remain contained within armored steel and criminal networks. Looking ahead, several questions now loom large. Will police identify and apprehend the suspects before they strike again? Will this robbery be linked to an existing syndicate already under investigation? And crucially, what measures will be taken to reduce the risk to civilians when these high-risk operations unfold in populated areas? There are no easy answers. What is clear is that cash-in-transit robberies are no longer just a matter of stolen money and damaged vehicles. They are a public safety crisis, intersecting with broader issues of organized crime, policing capacity, and urban vulnerability. As investigations continue, authorities will likely urge calm and cooperation from the public. But calm does not erase fear, and cooperation does not substitute for accountability. Each incident adds urgency to the need for more effective disruption of criminal networks, not just reactive policing after the fact. Tonight, the streets of Thokoza are quieter again. The suspects are gone, at least for now. But the questions they leave behind remain, about security, about safety, and about the cost of a crime that increasingly unfolds in the open, among ordinary people going about ordinary lives. The story is still developing. What happens next will not only determine the outcome of this investigation, but will also shape the broader conversation about how South Africa confronts a form of organized violence that continues to place its most vulnerable citizens in harm's way.